Go and select your clip, then go and click on the tab that says Effect Controls in this window here. Premiere will automatically enable some effects for all clips that you add into your timeline, so I'll go over these first. Go and click on the arrow next to Motion here. This first value, Position, simply determines where your image is located on the screen. So you can change these values here if you want the image off-centered for some reason. Just click on the number and drag it in the direction you want, or you can click on it once and type in the number manually. And as usual, pressing Ctrl-Z will undo your changes. Okay, the next one is Scale, which is simply a zoom feature. This can be handy. Just remember that you're enlarging pixels because the editor can't add detail that's not there. Uniform Scale simply refers to zooming in on both axes equally. Rotation rotates your image, as you can see. So it might look interesting if you combine that with zoom, especially if you intentionally recorded your footage at a higher resolution. Now I'll undo this. An anchor point refers to where on the picture some motion effects should be applied. So if we were to shift this, we can make the rotation look like it's occurring in the corner. And our last value, Anti-Flicker Filter, shouldn't really be necessary for computer footage like we have here. Okay, the next effect of opacity is pretty simple. You can just click and drag the number and it will fade out your image. Now right now it's turning to black when we do this, but that's because we have no other clips here. If we had another clip below this, it would show part of that image instead. Now you may have noticed I created a small dot on the screen. This button lit up here, and if you look below you can see a dot showed up on the clip as well. This means we've added a keyframe for this type of effect. For many effects you can add keyframes like this so that you can change the intensity of the effect at different times in your video. So if I wanted the screen to flicker a little bit, I can move the scrubber over here, then lower the opacity. And if I move over here, I can bring it back up to 100. 99, close enough. Now if I scan through the clip, you can see the footage fade in and out. And you can stack multiple effects on the same clip. So if I wanted to add a zooming effect, I could go over to the scale effect here, then press on this stopwatch icon, which will enable or disable keyframing. Now I can tell it to zoom in at different parts of the clip by changing the values at different times. So if I scan through here, it's flickering and zooming in and out. And if you wanted to get rid of the keyframes, just click on the stopwatch again, and it will warn you so you don't do it by accident. Now keyframing works for many effects, including audio ones. Since this clip has both video and audio, you can see down here we can adjust some audio settings as well. Every audio file you add will automatically have the volume setting added, so you can change the volume easily. Unfortunately, they only have this in decibels, but you can get a feel for loudness values the more you use the program. And like before, you just drag the numbers to add a keyframe, or you can enter in the number manually. I'll go ahead and put one here and set it to 0 decibels, which means no change, but that does create a keyframe for us. Now I'll drag it back to where we can hear something. Okay, I heard some footsteps there, and actually if your track is expanded in the timeline, you can see markings that show you where the most noise is. Unfortunately, this only shows up for the loudest sounds, but it can be helpful. Alright, this seems to be about the end of the most noise, so I'll just add another keyframe here, and I'll do it this time by clicking on this button. Now I'll set the audio to fade in from the noise. This looks like a good place to start, so I'll drag the volume settings down. Okay, that's as far as it will go, so it should be dead silent. Now if you look on the timeline, you can see the volume start out muted, then fade into the original recording volume. Let's play it back.
Somebody call the police! A fight's broken out!
Okay, that wasn't super obvious, but I could hear it getting louder when I played it back. Oh, and another thing about keyframes is that you can skip directly to the one you want by pressing these side arrows here, and it will jump directly to them. This is a lot like skipping the keyframes in Demo Smoother. It's the same principle, alright? And like before, if you want to get rid of all your keyframes, just press this button here to disable it. Okay. Well, that covers how to use keyframes. Now let's talk about adding effects.